Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Fast Forward Series, Season 4, with myself, Nastasia. As mentioned, I'm Nastasia Dux, and I'm responsible for the small and medium sized business segment here at Vodacom, where we bring you all sorts of amazing solutions that help you run your business. If you're new to this particular space, and if it's your first time joining, welcome. We look forward to engaging with you guys and sharing a lot of knowledge that hopefully you'll be able to apply within your business to help you go so much further. Today's topic is a very, very exciting topic. And before I get into the actual topic and speaker that we've got today, I actually just wanted to give you guys a bit of context, especially for those that are new, on what we bring with the actual Fast Forward series. So this is a platform where we offer masterclasses with industry experts that can help you on topics like search engine optimization to help you, find new customers and attract new customers with your website. We've also done an actual masterclass with Melissa Duplessis, who's an entrepreneur and has actually taken her business from online into offline space in between. So this is a space, a space created completely for you guys, and we hope that you obviously find value within it. One of the things that is a little bit different about today's session, and I am going to ask you guys to be quite patient with us today, is we actually have a new platform. So we've heard the feedback from our previous sessions, where there has been a little bit of feedback around lagging connectivity, etc. So we have got a new platform in hand. At the end of today's episode, we will actually do a survey on what you guys think. Please do participate and let us know if this is any better. But also, when you're navigating the platform, it is going to be slightly different from the previous platform that we've had. There is a comment section, and we really want to make sure that you guys engage as far as possible with myself and with Nadia, our speaker for today, via the comment section. It just helps us, see that you're understanding exactly what it is that we're communicating, and also allows you to ask questions because we are able to respond to some of those questions either during the session or, at the end. We also do have a poll, a couple of polls that we will have and bring up in between the session as well. So please do participate, because your feedback is very important, not just for us to be able to improve this particular session live, but also to improve any of the sessions that we've got going forward, because we want to make sure that the content is relevant for you. Yes, and then I think just simple house rules. Feel free to put comments. Feel free to obviously make sure that you participate in the actual poll, and feel free to network in the chat as well, guys, because that's why we've created this space here. So the first thing that I'd really like to find out is where you guys are joining us from. So I'm based in Chile, Johannesburg today. That's why you can see I've got like a turtleneck on, a couple of layers in between as well. So tell us exactly where it is that you're joining us from, just so that we can see exactly where some of our business audiences are spread. Really looking forward to seeing some of that start to come through in a bit. Cool, but I think I've delayed you guys long enough. Oh, okay, cool. So we actually have a little poll coming through. We've got a few people from Joburg. So I see Johannesburg, I see Joburg, so that's pretty much the same. We've got some people from Pretoria. We even have a person or people from Swaziland, which is pretty cool. I'm seeing some people say home and the office, and I'm not sure where home and the office is based. Don't see, oh, I see Somerset West. So we do have some Western Cape representation here as well, which is very exciting. Don't see anybody from KZN. So if anybody's representing KZN, please show yourselves now. And even some of our other provinces, guys. Do we have any in Mpumalanga peeps here? Do we have anybody from Limpopo province here? If not, we really need to make sure that we've got, we extend this. So if you guys have networks within the space, make sure that they start joining these sessions going forward as well. Cool. So we'll keep seeing where a lot of our joiners are joining from during the session. But I think I've delayed you guys long enough in terms of this suspense of today's session. So as you would have seen, we have a very, very special guest today. Her name is Nadia Bosman. And Nadia has got over 10 years experience in user experience and customer experience across multiple industries. She studied graphic design at the Design School of Southern Africa, and she's got experience designing experiences across platforms like retail platforms. She's got experience designing experiences for websites and apps, but she also has experience even down to company stationery, billboards, and logos. And if you guys want to find what the connection is in terms of customer experience, with connecting it to platforms like your digital platforms or even your company stationery, stay tuned for today's session. Today, we're going to deliver a topic which is very, very close to my heart. And a lot of the time, people don't necessarily understand that customer experience directly impacts your bottom line. Customer experience is about designing platforms, products, experiences that are both useful, usable, and desirable. And as we go through this masterclass, you will begin to see why it's important for your business to be able to grow the actual bottom line. So I'd like to bring Nadia up here, just so that you guys can meet our speaker for today.
Hi, guys.
There we go. Good morning, Nadia.
It's great to be here. And just so that you know,
Awesome.
Naz, it's very cold in Cape Town as well.
Oh, so you're joining us from Cape Town today, which is very, very exciting.
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm hoping that some of the fellow businesses within the Western Cape are also here to join as well. Cool. Nadia, do you want to just share your screen so that we can see the presentation at hand? And I'm going to hand over to you for you to start taking us through today's topic.
Happy. Okay. Just... Can you guys see my screen yet?
I can't see it yet on my side. Sorry, Nadia.
It is sharing, so I am hoping that you guys would be able to see it. Let me just quickly make sure that I am sharing my screen. Yes, I am sharing my screen. Somebody just needs to pull it up, I guess.
Sorry, Nadia, can you just reshare your screen? It seems like you've lost connection there. And then we are hearing a bit of feedback, so if you wouldn't mind just switching off for a second.
Yes, that's fine. I'll switch that off. Let me...
Cool. While we wait for Nadia to bring her presentation up, please also tell us in the comments what type of business you run. So it would be really good to understand from our audience whether you're a hairdresser, whether you run a little manufacturing business. Oh, we actually have some responses as well. So we've got people in engineering, which is very exciting. We've got people that run marketing businesses, which is very, very exciting as well. Retail businesses, tell us a little bit more. I see printing coming through as well, telecommunications. That's very exciting as well. So give us a little bit more detail, because what this helps us with is, as we give examples, we can try and use examples that are relevant to your business, or even if you have specific questions as well for Nadia in terms of how customer experience applies to something like printing, it will be good for you to be able to get, we even have people in rewards. I'm not sure what a money is. A money sounds like a business name. So if you can just give us a little bit more detail in the comments chat as well, that would be really good. Just in terms of what type of industry you're in. Cool. Nadia, are
Okay.
you there? Is your presentation
Yes,
up?
I'm here. I'm so sorry. I had a technical glitch. I wanted to stop sharing and I just exited the whole thing. So,
Cool.
being tech savvy isn't always a thing.
Yes, so
Um,
it happens to the
can you
best
guys
of
see
us,
my
right?
screen now? Yes. Can you guys see my screen?
We can see your screen.
Okay, great. So, like Naz mentioned, we are going to talk about how to improve your customer experience. So, just to add what Naz told you guys about me, I do have my own UX consulting company called Little Forest Designs. And I've actually been partnering with another company for the past 2 years called Cypress Solutions, and they are actually a development company. So together we kind of give a full comprehensive service to our clients. I do the designs and they actually build the apps and the websites that I design. And if you guys have any questions afterwards, please feel free to email me at nadia littleforestdesigns.co.za. Cool. So, why should you care about customer experience? I'm just gonna jump in right now, guys. So, like Naz mentioned, investing in your customer experience is like investing in your business success. It builds loyalty, increases customer retention, and drives a positive word to mouth. A great customer experience sets you apart from competitors, it fosters long term relationships, and ultimately boosts your bottom line. Cool. So, what are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about what is a good customer experience. We are going to talk about the full fundamentals of creating a great customer experience. And then, just as a bonus, I'm going to give you guys an overview of how to build your website and tips and tricks for your online platforms to make sure that they are user friendly as well. Cool. So, what is a good customer experience? A good customer experience is one that meets and exceeds your customers' expectations and needs by providing a seamless, personalized, and memorable experience. And Naz, please stop me during any part if there are any questions. I'm happy to answer. Cool. So, as Naz mentioned, there's a trifecta of good customer experience: useful, usable, and desirable. You need to ask yourself, this product or service that I am delivering, or this online journey, is there a market for it? Is there somebody that's going to find it useful? Then, usable, does it work? Desirable, what does it look like? Was it an enjoyable experience? And if you meet all three of these criteria, you find the sweet spot right in the middle, and that is exactly where you want to be. So, the four fundamentals of creating this great customer experience: one is know your customer, four, your purpose and your customer intent, and three, design and functionality, and then four, creating desire. So just to tie it in for you guys, when we talk about knowing your customer and knowing your purpose and your intent, that will touch on the trifecta of, is your product useful, or your service or your online journey? And then when we look at design and functionality, that's going to tie in with usability, and then obviously creating desire right at the end. Great, guys. So, knowing your customer, and I think this is the most important step out of everything. So, there are multiple ways you guys can actually get to know your customers. So, there are surveys, there are user forums, there are user testing, and all of these are great ways of actually like I said, getting to know your customer. So surveys is great because you can set up a set of questions, maybe include screenshots of anything, guys. If you, for example, design t-shirts and you have multiple design options, you can actually put that in a survey, send the survey to multiple users, and get useful feedback. They can vote for the t-shirt design that they like the most, and they can actually give you reasoning behind that. So I'll definitely promote getting to know your customer even before you maybe launch with your product to begin with. And then just these surveys and these user forums and the user testing, guys, there's so many ways to actually get that to the customers. You can ask your friends and family, because they are the users at the end of the day. And if you do have a website or an app, it's always very good to test with somebody in your family that's not tech savvy, just because they will always find the loopholes on your designs. Cool. And then you can go to your target market. So let's say, for example, you have your target market is college students. You can actually go to the different universities and ask them questions, do the surveys face to face. That's also a great way to gather information. And then you can ask your existing customers if they'll be willing to participate in surveys. Just, guys, remember that we do have a POPI Act, so you do need to ask their permission before you can just send them a survey or use a forum or do testing with them.
So Nadia, I really hope you have some examples for the guys a little bit later on, but I just wanted to share a personal experience that I engaged with a small business around their use of actual surveys. So I get my dog washed by a particular dog washing company, and they've been fantastic, always on time. I book via WhatsApp, and they even send me reminders to say it's been X number of weeks since Chelsea's last bath. Can we book the next service? But what I found really, really exciting is they usually at the end of the actual, once she's been washed, they always put a little, bandana, a cute little bandana around her. And they actually were looking at whether there was a market to actually sell additional bandanas as well. So what they would do before the session is they'd actually ask, can we bring you a sample of new bandanas in Chelsea size for you to review in case you're interested, within it? Would this be something that appeals to you? It was such a little simple experience via WhatsApp, a little bit of like a voting option. And, I found it very useful. I was blown away by how proactive they actually were. And it was just something so accessible because we all use WhatsApp. So do you have an example that you can share with the guys as well in terms of what this looks like?
Not really. Like you said, it comes in so many forms. You can literally set up a survey, which is basically a list of information or questions sent to their email, and they can answer the questions that way. You can set up a little survey on WhatsApp. It is that easy, guys. So I don't really have an example for you guys, but if you want, I can do some now tongue twister. I can go and look for examples for you guys and just post it afterwards.
Awesome.
But
that will be very good. Cool. Thanks, Nadia.
And then, guys, next. Oh, yes. So I actually looked at a few examples of free forums that you guys can actually use. There are many platforms out there. I'm not even going to talk through all of this because there are hundreds of ways to do surveys. Just to show you guys something that you do need to keep in mind. So even if certain platforms are free, some of them have limitations. So some of them, for example, only allow you to ask a certain amount of questions in the survey itself, or some of them only allow a certain amount of responses per survey. So if you guys want to go the survey route, I would highly recommend Google Forms. It's 100% free and everything else is unlimited. Just so that you guys know that there are platforms out there that you can use. Cool. A next way of getting to know your customer is by creating personas. And I really like this way of getting to know your customer. So we're going to do a little bit of a workshop. We are going to pretend that we are a company called Portland Leather. And we sell leather jackets of 2,000 Rand, and our target market is people between the ages of 22 and 35 years old. Cool. So you are basically going to create an imaginary friend, and you are going to look at the following information. You are going to look at their demographic, their behaviors, their personal preferences, and their pain points. So, guys, say hello to James Michael Jones. He is a 20-year-old male, and he just finished university, and he still lives with his parents in Centurion. He's a junior developer. His income is 18,000 Rand a month, and his expenses are for more or less 13,000 Rand a month. He's very brand loyal. He has an iPhone and an Xbox, and guys, you will never see him with a Samsung or a PlayStation. He is also a little bit colorblind. Then, if you look at his personality, he's an extrovert. He loves dressing up and going out. He has a steady girlfriend. He's funny. He's very active, and he's very tech savvy. So, now I'm going to show you guys how to start evaluating this persona and actually tie it in with your company. So, the first fact, James lives in Centurion. So you need to ask yourself, how am I gonna get my product or service to James? Do we have sales agents in this area? Do we have shops in this area? Do we deliver to this area? And kind of start working around that. Then the next one, like you guys can see, if you take his income and his expenses, he has more or less 5,000 Rand spending money a month. So we can safely assume that he's going to be price conscious. So the leather jacket of 2,000 Rand might be a little bit above his pay grade. It's not going to be something that he's going to buy on a monthly basis. This is going to be probably a once-off purchase until you start introducing products that are a little bit and less expensive. So, what can we deduce by saying that he is price conscious? When you do market your product, you'll probably not use James as your main target market when you start marketing this product. You'll probably look at somebody that has a little bit of a higher income or somebody that has less expenses. Cool. Then brand loyalty. We know that he's brand loyal. So we know that if we reach that trifecta, right? If we deliver a product or service to him that is useful, it's usable, and it's desirable, we'll probably have him for life. He'll always come back to our store and look at the leather products that we have to offer. Then we said that he's colorblind. I'll touch on this a little bit later, but just so that you guys know, for anybody that's colorblind, you can just use a little bit more contrast in your designs, or a lot more contrast in your designs. Cool. Then we said he's an extrovert. He loves going out. He's active. So he'll probably want a jacket that's durable and movable. So like we said, right? This is probably going to be a once-off purchase for him. So this jacket is going to be his go-to jacket when he goes out in the evenings. So he's probably going to wear this jacket like 3 or 4 times a week. Yeah. So this jacket will have to be durable, and it has to be he has to be able to move inside the jacket. Cool. Then we said that he is funny. So if you do market a product to him, he'll probably enjoy a little bit of humor. And then we said that he's tech savvy, so he'll be comfortable buying your product online. So you can definitely create a website for him. Cool. This is just an example, a very high level example of what a persona looks like. You guys can actually create multiple personas. So you can look at a lady that is 35 years old, and you can look at different cultures and how that will impact the sale of your jackets. Like I said, this was very high level, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick workshop. Yeah. And then just
So
something.
Nadia,
Yes,
before you
yes,
move on,
yes.
I think the thing that I just want the audience to also understand about creating a persona is a reflection of the customer that typically does buy from you. It's just so that you have a like Nadia said, an imaginary friend that when you're testing any of the changes you're about to make or approach in your marketing, that you've got a good reference point that it's still going to
Mm,
appeal to your actual persona. Now, some of
yes.
this information you might ask, but how do I actually figure this information out about my target audience? And it's something that you will ultimately build up over time. In the previous slide, Nadia mentioned that you could do stuff like surveys, and surveys might give you little bits of information, about your actual customer demographic, where they're based, etc. It might not tell you whether they're colorblind or not. That could be something that you pick up from, most customers that actually end up coming into your store through conversations, or if you run an online platform, you might pick up that, there's certain interest because of, their digital analytics behavior. So remember, it's profiles that you can continue to expand. It's a continuous living element that you can reference, but start with
Yep.
what it is that you do know about your customers, and then figure out ways to find out more so that that can start enriching, and then you can actually end up at that profile that Nadia just shared with us a few seconds ago. Awesome.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, and guys, in the beginning, you can obviously reference somebody that you already know, somebody that does fit into your target market. Because I'm sure, in order for us to create a service or a product, we will have some level of knowledge of our target market in order to give them a product and or service that is useful to them, right? So leverage off of somebody that you know and then start building something extra. And like I said, you can create multiple personas and actually have this persona in front of you when you are designing a service or product or a journey, so that you make sure that you are catering for this person. Cool. And then just to throw in a little bit of a curveball, you guys can have different personas for different reasons. So even though, so you can have one person that uses the product, even though you're marketing the product to somebody else. So a very good example of this, well, easy example of this is if your product is made for pets. Obviously, you would market the product for the pet owner, not so much for the pet. But I actually want to give you guys another example of a company that did this really well, and that is Old Spice, where the product is 100% only for men, but they have this tendency to actually market the product to the women in the men's life instead of to the men themselves. You guys can show the video if you're ready.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Old Spice, he could smell like he's me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on a boat with the man your man could smell like. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's an oyster with 2 tickets to that thing you love. Look again. The tickets are now diamonds. Anything is possible when your man smells like Old Spice and not a lady. I'm on a horse.
Okay, cool. So yeah, just to show you guys that you can have multiple personas and actually, aim your marketing at one customer, even though that product is not made for them. Yeah, I don't know if there's any questions, Naz, before I move on.
Continue.
Okay, cool. Then the second fundamental is purpose and intent. So it's what is your purpose as the company and what is the customer's intent. So, what are you as the business trying to achieve, and what is the customer trying to achieve? And you need to be cognizant of the fact that sometimes those two things aren't exactly the same. And obviously, it is your job as the company to make sure that even though you have something that you're trying to achieve and a certain purpose, that you bring it closer to the customer's intent and that you make sure that you meet their expectations. So I'm going to give you guys an example. The other day, I decided to get pet insurance. So my intent was I was going to call multiple insurance companies to get quotes, because at this point I had absolutely no idea how much pet insurance would be. I literally had 15 minutes between two meetings, but I expected this call to be very quick, right? Because I expected the questions to be centered around my dog. So what breed is my dog's, their age and their gender, and whether they have any pre-existing conditions. The company's purpose, though, was completely different than what I expected. So they wanted to gather as much information about me as the client, in order to give me a personalized and discounted offer. So you guys can see that these two did not meet in the middle. So I wanted a quick quote, a very basic quote, and they wanted to give me a more comprehensive quote. But in order to do that, they needed a lot of information about me. I think the only thing they didn't get from me at the end was a blood test. So because they wanted to gather so much personal information about me, my experience was horrible. Where I thought that this was going to be a quick 10-minute call, it ended up stretching over a span of 2 days, so that she can, one, gather all the information about me, and two, then explain all the different insurance packages that I qualify for, or that my dogs qualify for. And my experience was so bad that I haven't called them back. I haven't called any other insurance companies, because I am petrified of sitting in another call, giving another company all of my personal information. And because I had such a bad experience, the company also didn't reach their goal. They didn't achieve what they were trying to do, right? So what could they have done differently? They could have given me options, and they could have had different options. They could have given me a basic quote for my pet insurance, and then they could have given me the option and told me, hey, we can give you a more comprehensive quote, if you only give us X, Y, and Z in return. And I could have politely declined the comprehensive quote, because that's just not where I was in that stage of discovering. But you guys also need to keep in mind that the person that could have called them right after me might have been looking for that comprehensive quote. So giving them options is extremely important. So how can you prevent this from happening in your company? Like I mentioned, design for multiple scenarios. Be aware that the reason for somebody interacting with your service, interacting with your product, interacting with your online platforms might be different between one person's reason might differ from another's. So you need to make sure that you design for multiple scenarios. Make sure that you cater for the guy that just wants a quick quote, that just expected a 10-minute call, and that you cater for the guy that wants that comprehensive and discounted quote. So another thing you guys can do to prevent this from happening is to keep track of your customer feedback. So it would have been great if the sales agent that I spoke to that day actually went back to business and told them, we've had 10 calls in the past month of people that just wanted a quick basic quote and didn't want to give us all this information. And we lost potentially 10 clients that way. So there are different ways to gather feedback from your clients. Business WhatsApp lines, I will always recommend it, and I'll go dive a little bit deeper into that after this. Online chats are cool. It's just I'm not a big fan of making the user wait in a queue. And then obviously, if they do, if the chat has to go offline, it's via email, which isn't that, not a lot of users check their emails, which is a problem as well. Then stay in touch with your sales agent. So if you are at a stage in your business where you are not directly communicating or interacting with your clients anymore, touch base with your sales agents or the person talking to your clients on the telephone or your admin lady and get their feedback. Find out from them what are the pain points that your users have indicated. Cool. Then user test and test again. If you have a service, if you have an online journey, it doesn't matter. Put it in front of actual customers and test it. Get useful feedback, then make adjustments to your journeys or your service, and then test it again. That is the best advice I can give you guys. And then you guys can also look at web and app analytics. There are platforms out there like Google and Analytics that will actually allow you to see the user's behavior on your apps or on your website. That can also give you a good indication of where the pain points are and where not.
So Nadia, I actually just want to stop there because you've given such good nuggets for our audience, and I just want to make sure that we capture that. So, like Nadia mentioned, there's obviously web and app analytics, which we have an article on VHub. Google Analytics is free. And what I love about the Google estate is they give so much out of the box for free that by the time you need to start paying for the additional services, like you already know you're making money from using it because you're becoming a super user. So we will post in the comments as well a link to the VHub article on Google Analytics. But I just also noticed that one of our audience runs an Airbnb. And I just want to use the exact same example, or not the exact same example, but just as a bit of a reference point of where your customer needs and your needs need to match. If you're running an Airbnb, and you're perhaps getting or thinking about whether you should start getting involved in Airbnb experiences as well, it might be worth your while that when you send check-in information, which typically happens via email or through the Airbnb platform or even via WhatsApp, you may want to poll and survey with your customers if they would be interested in something like Airbnb experiences. Because then that will allow you to see if there is an opportunity to expand your business a little bit further before you invest. Because what you may want to consider downstream is if most of your customers that take up your Airbnb also buy into your Airbnb experiences, you may want to price that into the overall experience so it's not something separate. It actually just comes as a dual package. I take the Airbnb and I get a breakfast experience because where your Airbnb is based is on like close to the best breakfast spot, in the area that you operate in. So while this example might have been around pet insurance, remember it's just about making sure that the way your goals are aligned to your customers' goals and that you've got the ability to support multiple options.
And I mean, taking the Airbnb example that you just gave, and including breakfast, for example, don't make that mandatory. Give them the option. So that comes back to designing for multiple scenarios, because you don't know what the customer is doing at your Airbnb. So let's say, for example, they are attending a conference. So at the conference, breakfast is already included. They don't need it as part of your package. So you might see it as, oh, cool, I'm giving them this great experience. They see it as a waste of money because now they're paying for breakfast that they really don't need because they're already getting it somewhere else. Oh, I'm hoping, am I still sharing my screen?
No, Shweta says you're
Ah,
not.
yes. Okay, cool. Yes, sorry guys. My if we speak too long, my computer actually sleeps, and that is what's happening. Oh, it's
User
lovely.
experience.
We use these user experience stuff, hey? Okay, cool. I'm gonna quickly share my screen again. I just need to not leave the presentation this time.
Cool. So I'm hoping if the people in our audience running an Airbnb have found that example useful, please do comment and let us know.
Yeah.
And if you have additional questions, please do share it because we want to make sure that any of this time is for you. It's there to help you think about how you can further optimize your business. So yes, please do engage.
But yeah,
Cool,
like I
Nadia,
said,
let's continue.
cool. Okay, and then like I said, I recommend WhatsApp Business. And these are the 3 reasons why. So it opens a direct line of communication between you and your customer. Your customer can literally use that line for anything. They can use it to complain, they can use it to praise, they can use it to ask questions, they can even use it to actually buy something through WhatsApp. So it's an amazing tool to gather information just because that line is open. And also, it's better than waiting in a queue. So that this ties in with what I mentioned of the online chats, because the online chats also open that direct line of communication, right? But it is a weird situation where you kind of get stuck in a queue, and then you have to keep the browser open in order to check every now and again whether agent is available. And I mean, life happens, right? So most of the time, this has happened to me multiple times. I kind of forget that I have an active chat open, and then once I remember, I go back, and then I kind of miss the agent and they close the chat and I have to open it again. Whereas with WhatsApp, they can leave you a message and they actually get notified in a very natural way. Something that they're used to, right? WhatsApp is something that we're all used to. They get a notification on their phone saying, cool, you have replied to their message. And it's just a lot more, it's a lot more natural than an online chat. And then, just like I mentioned, it generates sales. We are still seeing in user testing that a lot of customers still prefer talking to a person than actually going through an online journey and buying online. So if you do have a WhatsApp line, make sure that you allow users to actually buy the product through WhatsApp as well, and not just on your website itself. Anything you wanted to add here, Naz? You already mentioned, the fact that your groomer is using WhatsApp, and I mean, my hairdresser also uses WhatsApp. So I can, before I go to her, I can actually WhatsApp her pictures of, the hairstyle that or the hairstyles that I really like, and kind of prepare her for what's coming next. Yeah. Cool. Then the third fundamental is design and functionality. So there's a quote by Martin LeBlanc that says, "A user interface is like a joke. If you have to explain it, it's not that good." So let me explain. If at any point you have people coming to you asking you, how does your product work? I don't understand this functionality. Can you please, I can't find this on your website. Any questions? Then probably there is a problem in the system. So yes, making something usable does refer to making sure that it actually works, but there's so many other things that play a role, and this is a very good example. So market share actually brought out a study or some stats in April this year that said that 65.93% of all traffic coming into the internet is actually coming from mobile devices, and only 32% from desktop and 2% from tablet. And I think this is the biggest mistake that a company can make is, designing your website and you make sure that it looks beautiful on a desktop device and it works perfectly. But then when somebody interacts with your website or your platform on a mobile device, then all of a sudden buttons are not on the screen, or the user has to scroll left and right in order to read an article or something like that. So guys, just when designing your online platforms, just make sure that you always design for mobile first. Then we're back to poor James. So as I mentioned, James was colorblind, but James unfortunately is not unique in this. So studies have shown, or stats have shown, that 1 out of 12 men and 1 out of 200 women are actually colorblind. That means 8% of the male population is colorblind. So this is huge, you guys. We really can't ignore stats like this. So how do we help guys like James to actually, see our designs? Because guys, this applies to digital and print. It doesn't just apply to your websites. If you, for example, add your logo on a product, make sure that there's enough contrast between the color of your product and your logo so that the customer can actually see it if they are colorblind. Yeah. And then eliminate distractions. So we are living in the era of instant gratification, and people are very easily distracted. So whether it's an online journey or whether it's a service that you are providing the customer, don't distract them with other things. Get them from point A to point Z to get your product or purchase your product, or signing into your service as quickly as possible without any distractions. Then use clear, concise language. So obviously, guys, grammar and spelling is very important, but something I want you to remember is the fact that we have 11 official languages in South Africa, which means that only 9.6% of South Africans actually speak English as a first language. So please, guys, don't make your websites or your pamphlets read like a Jane Austen novel. Just keep the language as simple as possible. Instead of, I'm going to give a very simple example. If you have a call to action, rather call it next. Don't call it proceed. Very simple example, but it is relevant. Cool. Then I just want to show you guys, I showed you guys the ad for Old Spice, but I wanted to show you guys how they 100% catered for their customer over here. And they're keeping it simple. So there are minimal distractions on this website. And guys, please look at the way they speak to their customer. It's clearly directed to the male population. Featured smells. Then you have a brush up on your swagger, the grooming and other things guide, head trimming hair, and then their shop over here literally has the items armpits, body, hair, and bundles. You don't talk to a lady that way. You don't sell a product for armpits. So they definitely, like Old Spice, definitely had a customer, a persona in mind when they designed this website. And this is the perfect example of somebody that definitely kept their personas in mind. But, however, I am aware that not all websites can be this simple, right? Old Spice has a handful of products. I mean, again, if you look at their shop, they have stuff for armpits, body, and hair, and that is it. So, so if you have an e-commerce platform that is by design a lot more messy, there are ways to simplify it, to still make it to still lessen the distractions. So I wanted to show you guys Macro's website, and kind of highlight something that they're doing exceptionally well, and that is the discoverability of their product. If I came to Macro, and I mean, Macro has hundreds of products and they have hundreds of brands that they need to promote, right? Please see how easy it is to actually search for your product. They allow you to search by department. They have this big search bar at the top that you can't miss. So even if you don't know the product's exact name, I can almost promise you that you will find it just by using keywords, or looking for it in a department, or looking in these different categories. Or you can even just find it by scrolling down on their website. They really made the discoverability of their products extremely easy. So yes, there's a very big difference between Old Spice and an e-com site like this, but that does not mean that it shouldn't be easy to navigate. Any questions, Naz, before we move on again?
No, I think this is so relevant, and I think you're touching on all the aspects, Nadia. So there are no questions at the moment.
Okay.
You can continue.
Okay, cool. And then the last one, guys, the fourth fundamental is creating desire. So yes, creating desire is all about, beautiful designs and friendly interactions. So what does your product look like? And not just your product, your packaging, your invoices, your websites, your apps, marketing materials, photography, all of that plays a role in making your product desirable, right? And then if you don't have a physical product and you have a service, make sure that you have friendly interactions with your customers. I know that there's a saying, the customer is always right, and that is true. You need to be aware that customers, obviously, when they want to complain, for example, they will come at you with a bit of an attitude, and you need to be ready for that. You need to be able to counter that. Bring the anxiety down and actually interact with your customer in a way that will calm them down, and you actually give them a useful feedback. Or yeah, I'm just going to show you guys a company that really did desirability well, and that is Apple. I'm sure you guys have actually heard all the jokes about Apple customers not throwing away their boxes, and it is 100% true. I still have two boxes in my cupboard of devices I don't even have anymore, but just because the quality of the boxes, they made their packaging so desirable that you don't want to throw it away. It's too pretty to throw away. So yeah, just an example of somebody that did that right. And then, guys, when you interact with your customers, avoid dark patterns. So dark patterns are ways that we sometimes unconsciously try and manipulate the users to do whatever we want them to do. And these are the types of things that actually leave an extremely bad taste in customers' mouths after they interact with you or your platforms or anything. So let's look at them. So the first one is bait and switch. So this is giving the customer fake information in order to get them to click on a post or interact with your platform. And then once they're in there, the information switch completely. So I'm going to give you guys an example. So this is a Facebook post, and the title reads, "You'll be shocked by how shredded his abs are after eating this superfood." So I would expect when I click on this post. I'm going to see some very lovely abs. And hopefully they're going to actually reveal what the superfood is. But in reality, when I clicked on this, it actually just gave me the login page for a diet plan. This is a great example of click and bait. YouTubers also use click and bait switch a lot. So they would use a certain image in the thumbnail of their video just to get you interested. And then once you click and actually watch the video has nothing to do with the image they used on the thumbnail. Hidden costs are very self explanatory, guys, but when you give a user a quote, whether it's telephonic, whether it's online, whether it's face to face, be open about all the costs. Tell them about the delivery costs. Tell them about the admin fees. Tell them about the taxes that gets included. Just don't hide anything cost related from your customers. Then, forced continuity. Forcing your user to sign up before they can get access to your product. And I'm sure this has happened to a lot of people before. So you would download an app that has a 30-day free trial, for example. But before you can actually start using the product, they will ask you to give them your banking details. And we actually see, studies have shown that you lose a lot of customer interest when you ask them for their banking details before they can actually interact with the trial version. Yeah. Then confirm shaming. So this is language we use in order to manipulate the user when they're doing something that we don't want them to do. So I've got you guys an example. So this is a pop-up on a website, and it tells you that if you enter your email address, we can actually, or they can send you articles, daily guides to healthier life, right? And then you can enter your email address and say live healthier, but a lot of customers don't want to give their email addresses to just every company out there, so they would decline. And what this example or this company did is they made the cancel button extremely negative. They said, so in order for me to decline this request, I need to admit I don't want to be healthier. That is horrible, guys. But yeah, that is an example of confirm shaming and just, a company trying to manipulate their users. Then Roach Motel. I really love this name. I didn't come up with it, but yeah, just love it. But in this example, it's basically when you make it extremely easy for your user to sign up for your product or get your product, but you make it impossible for them to sign out. So, I don't know how many of you are Friends fans, but in this episode, these two gentlemen are trying to cancel their gym contract, and the gym made it so impossible for them to actually cancel their their gym contracts that they ended up moving banks in order to cancel the debit order and get rid of the gym in that way. So that's just a example of that. And then asking more information than intended. So this is the most significant mistake that results in losing customers. Customer trust is when you request more information, personal information from a user than they are willing to disclose. So this is exactly what happened in the process when I tried to get a quote for the pet insurance. They just asked more information than I was honestly willing to give. And they lost they lost me as a customer completely. Then this last one, oh, not last one, but triggering fear. So when you advise users not to opt out of a subscription or feature selection, as doing so may result in negative consequences. So I did try to get you guys an example of triggering fear, but I think this is something that happens more telephonically than really than online journeys. But a great example of this would be if you have your own security company, right? And so you install security cameras, booms, all of that. And a customer calls you and they try to cancel their security package with you, and you kind of tell them like, hey, are you sure you want to cancel your you want to cancel our service, because they could break into your house tonight. That is triggering fear. So, and this kind of ties in with Roach Motel as well, and with, confirm shaming in a way. So, using language that manipulates your user. A better way to do that, guys, is just allow the user to cancel their subscriptions with you or their products, or give back their products to you if they don't want it and it doesn't work. But again, leaving them with a positive experience, even if it's a negative journey. So, how you could have done it differently is, if the user tried to cancel their security service with you, you could have told them, oh, it's so bad to see you going, but you know what? Keep our number saved on your cell phone. If anything ever goes wrong, we will be there. You can just call us. So even though the customer did cancel their service with you, you left a great taste in their mouth. Like, they will always remember, oh, you know what? This company still has my back, even though I'm not a customer anymore. And then the last one, social proof. So, social media, guys, is such a strong platform for marketing, but with great power comes great responsibility. If you get an influencer to market your product, you need to make sure that that influencer is 100% honest with their followers. One, they should actually use your product, make sure of that as well. But they need to be open and honest with their followers. So I'm just going to give you guys an example. You have a diet poll, and the influencer starts using the diet poll. The influencer loses 5Ks in 1 week. It's great, right? But you need to manage expectations. So the influencer needs to tell their followers, you know what, I have been taking this product, but I've also gone to the gym 4 times this week. And I'm also drinking, 2 liters of water daily. It's all about managing expectations, because their followers would get your diet pill, for example, drink it, not lose 5Ks in a week, and then just not use your product anymore, and you lost a customer, you lost their loyalty. They won't come back. But if that influencer is honest with them, if that influencer tells them, yes, I'm using this diet pill, but I went to the gym 4 times this week, that user can say, okay, cool, you know what, they won't expect to lose 5Ks, because they would be like, okay, you know what, I'm using this pill, but I am sitting on my bum the whole day, so I can't expect the same results as that influencer. So it's just all about managing expectations. Any questions on that, Naz, before we move on?
I just do want to flag that we are a little out of time. So if we can do a quick wrap up of the next element, I think it would be good.
Okay, cool. Then just building your website, guys. I did a quick comparison for you. So I will always recommend building your own website, getting your own development team, but it is the most costly option, even though it gives you the most freedom. But yeah, it is costly because if you get a developer, you'll most probably have to get a designer as well. So in the beginning stages of your company, you'll be able to just use web builders, so like WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, and Shopify. Shopify is a e-commerce site, just so that you guys know. And then just a disclaimer, I have only worked with WordPress and Wix, but I did some, but these are the four most popular options. So out of all of these options, WordPress is the most flexible. So you can get a template from their website, and then they have thousands of themes and plugins that you can actually plug into this original template in order to make your website work for you. And that's why it's more flexible. Whereas the other ones, you're kind of stuck within the template and the functionality that's already built into the site. When it comes to costs, WordPress, the software is 100% free, but the plugins are actually created by third-party sources. So the more plugins, the more expensive that solution might be. And then Wix, Squarespace, and Shopify have multiple pricing plans. But something I do want you guys to focus on is and take into consideration is that Wix and Shopify actually take a percentage of your sales. So if you have an e-com site on Wix and Shopify is an e-com site, some of the packages will definitely take a percentage. With Shopify, the higher tier plans will just take a lower percentage of your sales. So this is definitely something to keep in mind. Then support, all of them have support. WordPress is a little bit more community driven, but they still have ways to get support. Learning curves. WordPress is a little bit more difficult to learn for beginners. You need to have at least a basic knowledge of coding or just learn it because you work with the different plugins, right? So just to make the plugins work within your website, it just takes some know-how sometimes. Whereas the other ones are drag and drop. They are super user-friendly for beginners. When it comes to maintenance, because Wix, Squarespace, and Shopify actually build all the functionalities that are available on their sites, they maintain everything, which is great. Maintenance on WordPress is a little bit different because, again, the plugins are created by third-party sources. So sometimes there's a delay in updates, which could cause some issues on your website. And then the last one is branding. This might be a thing or might not be a thing for some people. But basically Wix and Squarespace put their own branding on your website. So if you scroll right to the bottom of your site, their logo would be at the bottom, very small, unless you have higher tier plans, then they give you the functionality of just deleting it. But that's just something to keep in mind because it can sometimes, it has the ability to make your site look a little bit less professional if there's other branding on there.
Makes sense. So Nadia, just to wrap up on this one here, I think it's really important for our audience to also understand that if this is the first time you are building a website and you don't have an in-house development team or a company that is supporting you with custom development, please, please, please don't try to build this yourself. It will be too expensive in the long run. So it will be more negative than positive. But if you're at a stage of you've tested your online platforms, you've got your own e-commerce store, you're generating really good sales, and now you really want to take your user experience to the next level because you've got so many more insights, that's the time now when you can transition into a build-it-yourself solution because you actually understand and have been able to get the value of the actual platform itself versus the others are a lot more affordable than doing it yourself.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a very natural progression, right? So you'll want to start introducing functionality or payment options on your website that's not available on the web builder. And then it'll just be a natural decision of just moving over and building your own website and maintaining it by yourself. Yeah. Cool. And then just tips and tricks to make your online platforms more user friendly. There are a few. I'm just gonna go through them very quickly. Standards, so just set up guides for everything, your colors, your components. Make sure that you have continuity or consistency on your website. If you do something on one page, mimic that on the other one, on the rest, because that does make the learnability on your website higher. Fonts, please make sure that you use web-safe fonts. So not all fonts are available on all devices and all browsers. So you need to make sure that you use web-safe fonts. Simplicity, less is more. I think I already touched on this, but it's just keeping your designs as clean as possible. Don't use tech jargon. So use language that they understand. Loading time, this one is very important. So there was a study done with 1,000 participants, and 40% of those participants only waited 3 seconds for a page to load before they closed the website. So you guys need to be cognizant of how long it takes your pages to load. So to reduce the loading time, you can reduce the image sizes that you use on your website. Lazy loading is a very good example. So, for example, obviously Facebook is very content heavy because you have all the posts, right? But as you scroll down, you will actually see that they'll load the first 2 or 3 posts on the page, and as you scroll down, they will start loading the rest. That is lazy loading. Then accessibility, guys, you need to think about people that are hearing impaired and visually impaired, and there are a few things that you guys can just make sure that your websites work with keyboard shortcuts and is compatible with screen readers. Then control. Always give the user full control. If they end up somewhere, give them the control to go back to a previous step. Make it as easy as possible. Work with their pace. You just make space for human error, right? And then edge cases. So edge cases are so basically error messages where something goes wrong. Use clear and concise language. So if the user made a mistake and that is why they're getting an error, give them clear direction as to how to fix the problem. So if you give them a form and they forgot and they typed in their email address incorrectly, don't just be vague about, incorrect email. Just give them directions as to, please check again, make sure that you typed in the email correctly. Clear direction, and then learn. Guys, look at your competitors and identify what they are doing right and what they are doing wrong. So something I really like doing is looking at the biggest fish in the pond. So let's say, for example, you have an e-com site. Look at the guys like Amazon. Actually go through the process of ordering something online, see how long it takes for that product to get to you, and then send it back. Identify all the pain points in their journeys and make sure that you address those pain points in your journeys, and mimic what they are doing right as well. Because you can safely assume that these big companies have teams and teams of people looking after the customer experience and user experience in the background. So it's safe to mimic them, as long as you identify what they're doing wrong as well and make adjustments, right? And then just quickly, you guys can go to their websites yourself after this. But a company that's doing it really well is Apple. So something I just want you guys to see is that they set clear web standards. All their headings are exactly the same size. All their buy buttons look exactly the same. The imagery is beautiful. It's clear. Nothing is competing with one another. There's no information competing with one another. Something I did forget to mention is that customers don't read. I don't know where I put that. People don't read. There you go. People don't read. So if you have important information to give a user, put it in a heading, make it big, make it bold, and then give the user the ability to learn more about it if they wanted to read more. So don't put essential information in the middle of a paragraph and expect people to read it. They don't. They literally skim pages. Yeah, that's the best advice I can give you guys when it comes to copy on your sites. And like you can see, Apple does that as well. So they give you a bit of information and then they give you the ability to go read more if you are so inclined to do so. Yeah, just wanted to show you guys that. And then just to end this off, just remember, don't just sell a product or service, deliver an exceptional experience that keeps customers coming back for more. That is it, guys.
Awesome. That is fantastic. Nadia, thank you so much for sharing all of these nuggets with us today. I mean, usually people lean in on one part of the topic, so it's very nice to see how it all comes together around it being desirable, useful, and usable, and the different tips and tricks. So I really appreciate you, sharing your expertise with the audience. We didn't have too many questions in the chat. I think we addressed things as they went along. But I'm very happy that you've made reference to both products and services, because I do see we do have some of the audience members that are more in the services-based industry, printing, insurance, all of that kind of stuff. But yes, thank you for joining us for another episode of Fast Forward Series. We look forward to seeing you guys next time, where we'll bring another exciting topic. If you missed part of the session, or there were a couple of nuggets that really stood out, this is going to be available as a recording under our SME Masterclass on VHub. We will just make sure that we post a link in the comments so that any of you guys can actually go and reference it. I did see at the bottom of the actual auditorium, there is a link to VHub. So if you do just want to go and quickly navigate there as well, this masterclass will be on VHub shortly. But Nadia, just any final comments or anything of the sort before we close off?
No, I think I've said a lot. I think I've said enough.
Awesome, but it's all been very useful. So it's a lot of information, but a lot of useful information, and you delivered it in a desirable way. And I definitely think the team will find it useful. So you've definitely met the sweet spot.
Okay.
So yes, thank you so much to our audience, and guys, please don't forget to participate in our survey, just to let us know, was this platform easy to navigate? Was it easy to hear, Nadia? Don't mark us down on the user aspect, because I mean, when Nadia just closed her screen, but we just want to make sure that this is the right platform for you guys to engage with us as we deliver these topics. Yes. We will see you guys at the next episode. Have a brilliant day, everybody, and we'll chat to you soon. Cheers, everyone.
Bye, guys.